calm your mind. Part 1. Listen. Right now, as you're reading this, your mind is probably doing 3 things at once. You're processing these words, thinking about something that happened earlier, and maybe already planning what you'll do after this. And here's the uncomfortable truth. That's exactly why you can't find peace. Your mind isn't loud because your life is chaotic. Your mind is loud because you've never learned to control it. And I'm not going to give you vague advice like just meditate or think positive. Instead, I'm going to show you a clear system, one that works in the next 5 minutes and builds long-term mental stability. Because the difference between people who live in constant mental noise and those who operate with crystal clear focus isn't talent. It's not luck. It's a system, and you're about to learn it. Learning. Number 1, your mind is restless because you leave it empty. The problem, your mind races constantly. Random thoughts appear out of nowhere. You lie in bed, and suddenly you're replaying a conversation from 3 years ago or worrying about something that might never happen. The real cause. Your brain doesn't like being idle. If you don't give it direction, it creates its own content, and most of that content is negative, useless, or repetitive. Neuroscientists call this the default mode network. When you're not actively focused on something, your brain defaults to worry, rumination, and mental wandering. Here's what most people don't realize. An undirected mind is a restless mind. What to do? You need to practice intentional thinking. This means deciding what you'll think about instead of letting your mind choose for you. The method. Every morning, take 10 minutes with a notebook. Write down 3 questions. What's occupying my mind the most right now? Is this within my control or outside of it? If it's within my control, what's one action I can take today? This simple exercise shifts your brain from random mode to structured mode. You stop reacting to whatever thoughts appear and start directing your mental energy intentionally. Within days, you'll notice something remarkable. Your mind feels lighter. Not because your problems disappeared, but because you stopped letting your brain run wild. One of my friends, Sarah, a marketing director in Boston, tried this after years of morning anxiety. She told me, "I used to wake up already overwhelmed. Now I wake up and decide what matters. The noise is still there sometimes, but I'm not drowning in it anymore." Learning number 2. Your mind is disturbed because of unresolved loops. The problem, you think about the same things over and over, old conversations replay, future worries won't leave you alone. You feel like you're stuck in a mental hamster wheel. The real cause, these are called open loops. Thoughts, tasks, or emotions that started but never finished. An incomplete project. An unresolved argument. An unclear decision. Your brain is designed to remember incomplete tasks more than completed ones. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Your mind keeps reminding you about these loops because it's trying to close them. But since you never actually process or resolve them, they just keep circulating. What to do? You need to close your loops, every single one. The brain dump method. Every night, spend 5 minutes writing down everything on your mind. Don't edit, don't filter, just dump it onto paper. Then, next to each item, write one of 3 things. Action. What's the next small step? Ignore. This doesn't actually matter. Later, I'll handle this next week. For tasks, write the smallest possible next action. For emotions, acknowledge them and write them out fully. This process gives your brain closure. It stops holding on to those thoughts because it knows they're recorded and categorized. I know someone, Marcus, a software engineer in Amsterdam, who couldn't sleep for months. His mind raced every night with work problems, unfinished conversations, and random worries. He started doing brain dumps. Within 2 weeks, he told me, "I don't understand why, but my mind just stops now. It's like I gave it permission to rest." Learning number 3, your mind is restless because your body system is unstable. The problem, you feel anxious for no clear reason. Your mood shifts unpredictably. Even when nothing's wrong externally, you feel restless internally. The real cause, your mind and body aren't separate. If your body's systems, sleep, breathing, movement, are unstable, your mind becomes unstable automatically. Research from Oxford University shows that irregular breathing patterns directly increase anxiety and stress responses. Most people try to calm their mind through thoughts alone, but your nervous system doesn't work that way. Your body's state controls your mental state. What to do? The fastest way to stabilize your mind is to stabilize your body, and breathing is the most powerful tool. The 4-4-6 breathing pattern. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. Breathe out slowly for 6 seconds. Do this for 5 minutes. That's it. Why does this work? Because when you extend your exhale, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your body responsible for calm. You literally override your stress response through breath control. Add to this 20 to 30 minutes of walking daily. No phone, just movement. No screens 30 minutes before sleep. These aren't optional wellness tips. They're foundational. When your body feels safe, your mind feels safe. When your nervous system is regulated, mental chaos decreases naturally. I worked with a client, Jessica, a lawyer in Chicago, who was convinced her anxiety was purely mental. She tried therapy, journaling, everything. Then she started walking 25 minutes every morning and doing the 4-4-6 breathing before bed. 2 weeks later, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel stable, like my baseline shifted. Learning number 4, your mind is disturbed because you take every thought seriously. The problem, every negative thought feels real. When anxiety says something bad will happen, you believe it. When doubt whispers you're not good enough, you accept it as fact. The real cause, you're not observing your thoughts, you're fusing with them. Psychologists call this cognitive fusion, when you can't tell the difference between a thought and reality. Here's the truth most people miss. A thought is just a mental event. It's not a fact. Your brain generates thousands of thoughts daily. Most are random, repetitive, or based on old patterns. But when you treat every thought as truth, you lose control. What to do? You need to learn thought separation, creating distance between you and your thoughts. The labeling technique, when a negative thought appears, don't fight it. Instead, acknowledge it. This is just a thought. Label it fear, doubt, overthinking. Let it pass. Don't engage, just observe. This tiny shift from I'm anxious to I'm having an anxious thought creates psychological distance. You stop reacting automatically and start responding consciously. One of my mentors, David, a former executive in London who burned out twice, taught me this. He said, "For years, I believed every thought my mind produced. Now, I watch them like clouds passing. Some are storms, some are light, but none of them are me. When you stop fusing with your thoughts, your mind naturally becomes calmer. Not because the thoughts disappear, but because they lose their power over you. Learning number 5. Your mind isn't calm because you have no clear focus system. The problem, you can't stick to one task. You start something, get distracted, switch to something else, then feel guilty about not finishing anything. The real cause, your brain craves clarity. When it doesn't know what to focus on, it defaults to easy, entertaining, or urgent things, none of which are usually important. Research from MIT shows that multitasking doesn't just reduce productivity, it actually weakens your ability to focus over time. Every time you switch tasks, your brain has to reorient, which drains mental energy. What to do? You need a single task system. The focus block method, choose one task. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Do only that task. No phone, no email, no switching. Take a 5-minute break. Repeat. This isn't just a productivity hack. It's neural training. Every time you resist distraction and return to focus, you're strengthening your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for attention control. After 2 weeks of this practice, your brain learns that focus is the default, not distraction. I know a writer in New York, Rachel, who couldn't finish a single article without checking her phone 15 times. She implemented focus blocks. 3 weeks later, she told me, I used to think I had ADHD. Turns out, I just never trained my brain to focus. Now I can write for 90 minutes straight, and my mind feels quiet. When your focus improves, your mind automatically calms, because a focused mind doesn't have space for chaos. Learning number 6. Your mind is unstable, because you have no emotional outlet. The problem, stress, frustration, guilt, they build up inside you. You don't express them. You just push them down and keep going. The real cause, unexpressed emotions don't disappear. They accumulate as mental noise. Over time, this suppressed emotional energy turns into anxiety, irritability, or mental fog. What to do? You need a release system, a way to process and express emotions regularly. 3 simple methods. Writing. Write exactly what you feel. No filter, no editing, just raw honesty on paper. Talking. Share with someone you trust. Not for advice, just for release. Movement. Fast walking, running, or any physical activity that allows emotional energy to discharge through your body. These aren't therapy sessions. They're pressure release valves. When internal pressure decreases, your mind calms. A friend of mine, Tom, an engineer in Berlin, never talked about his feelings. I just deal with it, he'd say. Then he started a simple practice. Every Sunday, 15-minute walk, voice recording everything on his mind. No one listens to the recordings. He just speaks. He told me, I didn't realize how much I was carrying until I started letting it out. Now my mind feels lighter, like I'm not dragging weight anymore. Learning number 7. Your mind isn't calm because you can't tolerate uncertainty. The problem, you worry constantly about the future. What if this happens? What if that goes wrong? Worst-case scenarios loop in your mind. The real cause, your brain craves certainty, but real life is inherently uncertain. When you can't get clear answers, your mind fills the gaps with negative possibilities. It's trying to prepare you for danger. This is the root of most overthinking and anxiety. What to do? You need to train uncertainty tolerance. The 3-step process. When future-related worry appears, write the worst case. What's the actual worst that could happen? Write your action plan. If that happens, what would I do? Write the present action. What can I control right now? This process shifts your brain from imaginary fear to real action. You stop spiraling in what-ifs and start operating in what now. Over time, your mind learns to accept, not everything will be in my control, and that's okay. And that acceptance, that's what creates calm. I worked with someone, Nina, a consultant in Paris, who couldn't make decisions because she needed certainty first. We practiced this method. Within a month, she said, "I still don't have all the answers, but I'm not paralyzed anymore. I can move forward even when things are unclear." 2155, Calm Your Mind. Part 2. Learning number 8. Your mind is disturbed because you live in information overload. The problem, you consume endless content, podcasts, articles, videos, social media, but you never feel clearer. In fact, you feel more confused, more scattered, more overwhelmed. The real cause, your brain has limited processing capacity. When you feed it excessive information without time to process, it creates mental clutter. This clutter becomes background noise that keeps your mind restless. Research from Stanford University shows that the average person today consumes more data in one day than someone in the 1950s consumed in an entire month. And this constant input weakens both decision-making and focus. Think about it. When was the last time you learned something and actually used it before moving on to the next thing? What to do? You need an information diet. Consume less, process more. The simple rule, after consuming any content, stop for 5 minutes and write, what did I actually learn? Where can I apply this? What's one action I'll take from this today? Additionally, no content for the first hour after waking. No screens 30 minutes before sleep. This isn't about consuming less for the sake of it. It's about giving your brain space to process what it receives. When you reduce input overload, mental clarity naturally increases. I know someone, Alex, a product manager in San Francisco, who was addicted to productivity content. Podcasts during commutes, articles during lunch, videos before bed. He felt informed, but never productive. Then he tried the information diet. He told me, I went from consuming 3 hours of content daily to 45 minutes, but I actually use what I learn now. My mind feels organized instead of cluttered. Learning number 9. Your mind is unstable. Because your decisions aren't clear. The problem, you get stuck in small decisions. Should I do this or that? Is this the right choice? You overthink simple things and second-guess yourself constantly. The real cause, decision fatigue. When your decision-making criteria aren't clear, your brain has to reanalyze every choice from scratch. This drains mental energy and creates anxiety. Columbia University research shows that too many options without clear criteria leads to decision paralysis and increased stress. What to do? You need decision rules, pre-made guidelines that eliminate unnecessary thinking. Examples of decision rules. 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Goal alignment. Rule, I only say yes to things that align with my main goals. 24-hour rule. For big decisions, I wait 24 hours before committing. Energy rule. If it drains my energy without meaningful return, it's a no. The key is, decide once, apply many times. When you create decision rules, your brain doesn't have to waste energy on repeated choices. decisions become faster, clearer, and less stressful. A friend, Mia, an entrepreneur in Amsterdam, used to agonize over every client request, every meeting invite, every opportunity. She created 3 simple rules. Does this align with my 2025 goals? Do I have the energy to do this well? Would I regret saying no? She told me, I used to spend hours deciding things. Now most decisions take 30 seconds. My mind feels so much lighter. When decisions are clear, your mind becomes calm. Learning number 10. Your mind isn't calm because your environment isn't supportive. The problem, you try to focus, but your surroundings constantly distract you. Clutter, noise, notifications, everything pulls your attention away. The real cause, your behavior is shaped by your environment. If your space is chaotic, cluttered, or filled with distractions, your mind mirrors that chaos. Behavioral studies from Cambridge University show that environmental changes can drastically improve habits and focus, often more than willpower alone. What to do? You need to design your environment for calm and focus. Simple steps: clean your workspace, remove everything except what you need for the task at hand. Remove distractions. Put your phone in another room or on silent mode. Create a focus zone. Designate one specific place where you only do focused work. No browsing, no entertainment. Control your inputs. Limit notifications. Close unnecessary tabs. Create barriers between you and distractions. This isn't about perfection. It's about removing friction from good behaviors and adding friction to distracting ones. I worked with someone, Liam, a designer in London, who couldn't focus at home. His desk faced the TV, his phone was always within reach, and clutter surrounded him. We redesigned his space, desk facing a blank wall, phone in a drawer during work hours, everything he needed within arm's reach. 2 weeks later, I can't believe how much this changed things. My environment used to fight me. Now, it supports me. When your environment is controlled, your mind naturally follows. Learning number 11, your mind is restless because you constantly judge yourself. The problem, your internal dialogue is harsh. I'm not good enough. I'm behind everyone else. Why can't I do this right? The real cause, self-criticism. When you constantly judge yourself, your mind never feels safe. It stays in a state of stress, always defending, always anxious. Research from the University of Texas shows that self-criticism increases anxiety and depression, while self-compassion significantly reduces mental distress. What to do? You need to reset your self-talk. Replace harsh judgments with balanced truth. The reframe method. When you catch yourself in self-criticism, immediately replace it. I failed at this. I'm learning from this. I'm so behind. I'm on my own timeline. I'm not good enough. I'm improving, and that's enough. This isn't fake positivity. It's realistic encouragement. You're not lying to yourself. You're balancing harsh criticism with truthful support. One of my clients, Sophie, a teacher in Dublin, had brutal self-talk. Every mistake became evidence of her inadequacy. We practiced reframing for 2 weeks. She said, I didn't realize how mean I was to myself until I started changing it. Now when I mess up, I don't spiral. I adjust and move on. When your internal dialogue becomes supportive, your mind stabilizes naturally. Learning. Number 12. Your mind isn't controlled because you don't maintain consistency. The problem, you start techniques, feel motivated for a few days, then stop. Nothing sticks. You cycle through solutions, but never see real change. The real cause. You expect instant results. But training your mind is a process, not an event. Habit research, based on James Clear's work in behavioral studies, shows that small, consistent actions create long-term change, not occasional, big efforts. What to do? You need the minimum action rule. Make every practice so small that you can't fail. Examples. Instead of 30 minutes of meditation, start with 5 minutes of breathing. Instead of 1 hour of focused work, start with 15 minutes. No distractions. Instead of journaling every night, start with writing 3 sentences. The goal isn't intensity, it's consistency. A friend, Carlos, a consultant in Madrid, tried meditation for years. He'd start strong, then quit after a week. We reduced his goal to 3 minutes daily. So easy, he couldn't say no. 6 months later, I've meditated more in the last 6 months than in the previous 5 years combined, and now I actually want to do it. When consistency builds, your mind gradually stabilizes, not because of one big breakthrough, but because of hundreds of small wins. Learning number 13, your mind isn't calm because you react immediately to every emotion. The problem, something happens, and you instantly react. Anger, anxiety, frustration, there's no gap between trigger and response. The real cause, you lack a pause gap, that critical space between stimulus and reaction. This gap is where control lives. Harvard neuroscience research shows that mindful pausing activates the prefrontal cortex, which regulates emotional responses and reduces impulsive reactions. What to do? You need the 2-second rule, the method. When an emotional trigger appears, pause for 2 seconds before reacting. During those 2 seconds, observe your body. Is your breathing fast? Is your body tense? Then choose your response. This tiny pause interrupts your automatic reaction pattern. Instead of being controlled by emotions, you respond to them. I know someone, Daniel, a lawyer in Brussels, who used to explode in arguments. He practiced the 2-second rule religiously. 3 months later, I still feel the anger, but now there's space between feeling it and acting on it. That space changed everything. When you stop reacting and start responding, your mind naturally becomes calmer because you're in control, not your emotions. Learning number 14. Your mind is unstable because your identity is unclear. The problem, you don't know who you are. You shift based on situations, people, or moods. Every decision feels confusing because you lack a clear internal compass. The real cause, identity fragmentation. When your identity isn't clear, every choice requires validation. Your mind constantly second-guesses because it doesn't have stable criteria to reference. What to do? You need to define your identity. Decide who you are and operate from that foundation. The identity exercise. Write down, who do I want to be? Not what I want to achieve, who I want to be. 3 identity rules. How will I think? How will I behave? What will I not do? Example, I am someone who values clarity and focus. Rules. I think before reacting. I avoid distractions intentionally. I don't engage in unnecessary drama. When your brain sees a clear identity, it automates decisions based on that identity. Mental load decreases. Confusion reduces. A client, Emma, a journalist in Stockholm, struggled with constant self-doubt. We defined her identity. I am a person who commits fully to what I choose, she told me. Now, when I'm torn between options, I ask, What would someone who commits fully do? The answer is usually obvious. When your identity is clear, your mind becomes stable because it knows what it stands for. 2159. Calm your mind. Part 3. Learning number 15. Your mind is overactive because you treat rest like guilt. The problem, when you're not doing something productive, you feel guilty. Rest feels like wasting time. So even when you try to relax, your mind keeps spinning. The real cause, you've been conditioned to see rest as the opposite of productivity. But neuroscience tells us something different. Your brain's default mode network needs rest to function properly. This is where creativity happens, where emotional processing occurs, where insights emerge. When you treat rest as guilt, you deny your brain the recovery it needs, and that keeps your mind perpetually overactive. What to do? You need to learn intentional rest, making rest a deliberate part of your system, not something you squeeze in when you're exhausted. The rest practice, 20 to 30 minutes daily without screens. Just sitting, light walking, or being still. No multitasking during rest. Don't listen to podcasts while resting. That's still input. Permission mindset. Rest isn't laziness. It's maintenance. During rest, your brain consolidates information, processes emotions, and resets your nervous system. When you give yourself permission to rest, overthinking naturally decreases. I worked with someone, Olivia, a startup founder in Copenhagen, who worked 14-hour days and felt guilty taking lunch breaks. We implemented 25 minutes of intentional rest daily. No phone, no work, just sitting or walking. After 3 weeks, she told me, "I thought rest would make me less productive. Instead, my mind feels sharper, my decisions are clearer, and I'm not exhausted all the time." When you stop treating rest like guilt, your mind gets the recovery it needs to stay calm. Learning number 16. Your mind is chaotic because you try to control your future self. The problem, you spend mental energy planning exactly how your future will unfold. How will I get there? What if this doesn't work? What's the plan for 5 years from now? The real cause. Your brain creates a control illusion to reduce uncertainty. But when you obsess over controlling the future, you lose the present moment, and anxiety increases. What to do? You need a present anchor system, a way to bring your mind back to now instead of spiraling into later. The method. When future-focused thoughts appear, ask yourself, what am I doing right now? What's the next immediate step? Can I control anything beyond that? Then focus only on that next step. This practice trains your brain to stay in the present where actual control exists. The future will unfold based on your present actions, not your mental projections. A friend, Ryan, an architect in Vienna, used to obsess over career trajectories, financial goals, life timelines. He practiced the present anchor method daily. He said, "I still plan, but I don't lose myself in future fantasies anymore. My mind is here, not somewhere that doesn't exist yet." The strongest source of calm is always present focus. Learning number 17. Your mind is restless because you overstimulate it constantly. The problem, constant noise, music, notifications, scrolling, background TV, even silence feels uncomfortable, so you fill it with input. The real cause. Your brain is caught in dopamine spikes. Every notification, every scroll, every new piece of content triggers a small dopamine hit. Over time, your baseline stimulation level rises, and natural calm starts feeling boring or uncomfortable. Stanford research shows that high dopamine stimulation reduces attention span and emotional stability over time. What to do? You need to create low stimulation periods, deliberate time without digital input. The daily practice, 1 to 2 hours daily with zero digital input, no music, no phone, no screens. Just normal activities or silence, walking, cooking, sitting, thinking. At first, this will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will crave stimulation, but this discomfort is actually your nervous system resetting. Over time, your brain recalibrates. Natural calm stops feeling boring. You start enjoying silence instead of fearing it. I know someone, Julia, a photographer in Zurich, who couldn't function without background noise. Music while working, podcasts while walking, TV while eating. She tried low stimulation periods, 1 hour daily, no input. The first week was brutal. By week 3, she told me, "I can't explain it, but my mind feels settled, like I'm not constantly chasing the next thing." When you stop overstimulating your brain, it naturally returns to calm. Learning number 18. Your mind isn't calm because you depend on external validation. The problem: other people's opinions affect you deeply. A critical comment ruins your day. Lack of recognition makes you doubt yourself. The real cause: your self-worth is tied to external feedback. When approval doesn't come, your mind becomes unstable. When criticism arrives, you spiral. What to do? You need to build an internal validation system, measuring yourself by your own standards, not others' opinions. The daily check. Every evening, ask yourself, did I follow my own rules today? Did I maintain my standards? Did I do what I said I would? If yes, the day was successful, regardless of what anyone else said. This doesn't mean ignoring feedback. It means your baseline worth isn't determined by it. One of my mentors, Greg, a former executive in Toronto, used to live for quarterly reviews and client feedback. His mood swung based on external responses. Then he shifted to internal validation. Did I do my best with what I had? Did I act with integrity? Did I learn something? He told me, external feedback still matters, but it doesn't define me anymore. My mind stopped being controlled by other people's reactions. When validation comes from within, your mind stops being destabilized by external noise. Learning number 19. Your mind isn't calm because you can't match mental speed with life speed. The problem: you want instant clarity, instant solutions, instant results. When things take time, you feel frustrated and anxious. The real cause: your brain has become addicted to fast answers, Google, social media, instant information. But real-life clarity doesn't work that way. It builds slowly through experience and reflection. When your mental expectations don't match reality's pace, your mind becomes restless. What to do? You need to practice slow thinking mode, deliberately slowing down your mental process for complex situations. The method: when facing a complex problem, don't decide immediately. Sit with it for 10 to 15 minutes without distractions. Ask yourself, am I overreacting to this? Will this matter in a week? What's the simplest next step? This shifts your brain from impulsive mode to analytical mode. Anxiety decreases, clarity increases. A client, Ben, a consultant in Munich, used to make snap decisions under pressure, then regret them later. We practiced slow thinking for 2 weeks. He said, I thought slowing down would make me less effective. Actually, it made me more effective because I stopped making decisions I had to fix later. When you stop demanding instant clarity, your mind calms naturally. Learning number 20, your mind is disturbed because you ignore your energy cycles. The problem, you try to force focus whenever you want it without considering when your brain is naturally sharp versus when it's naturally tired. The real cause, every person has ultradian rhythms, natural energy cycles that last roughly 90 to 120 minutes. When you ignore these cycles and try to power through fatigue, your mind becomes foggy and confused. What to do? You need to observe and align with your natural peak times. The 3-day observation. For 3 days, track. When is my focus sharpest? When does my energy drop? Then, do high focus work during peak times. Do simple tasks during low energy periods. This isn't about working less. It's about working with your biology instead of against it. I worked with someone, Nora, a developer in Oslo, who forced herself to code in the afternoons even though her brain was sharpest in the mornings. We realigned her schedule. Within 2 weeks, I get more done in 3 morning hours than I used to in 6 afternoon hours, and my mind doesn't feel fried anymore. When you stop fighting your natural rhythms, mental resistance disappears. Learning number 21. Your mind isn't calm because you're addicted to closure. The problem, you need immediate answers to everything. Why did this happen? What does this mean? What will happen next? Every open question creates anxiety. The real cause, your brain doesn't tolerate uncertainty well, so it searches desperately for closure, definite answers, clear explanations, predictable outcomes. But life doesn't always provide closure, and this gap between your need for answers and reality's ambiguity creates anxiety. What to do? You need to learn open-loop acceptance, being okay with unanswered questions. The mental shift. When an unresolved thought appears, tell yourself, this doesn't need an answer right now, and that's okay. Then redirect your attention to the present task. This practice trains your brain to be comfortable with uncertainty, which is where most mental peace actually lives. A friend, Isabella, a researcher in Milan, used to spiral when she couldn't figure something out immediately. Every unclear situation became a mental obsession. She practiced open-loop acceptance for a month. She told me, I still want answers, but I'm not paralyzed by not having them anymore. I can move forward even when things are uncertain. When you stop demanding closure for everything, your mind finds peace in the unknown. 2203. Calm your mind. Part 4. Learning number 22. Your mind is overactive because you're stuck in comparison loops. The problem, you constantly compare yourself to others. Their success makes you feel behind. Their progress makes you question your own. Social media amplifies this. Everyone seems further ahead. The real cause, social media has trapped your brain in a constant comparison environment. Psychologists call this the relative self-evaluation loop, where your self-worth fluctuates based on how you stack up against others. This creates a mind that's never at peace, because there's always someone doing better. What to do? You need a comparison detox system, shifting from external comparison to internal growth. 3 steps. Limit social media consumption. Set specific time windows, not constant scrolling. Daily self-comparison question. Am I better today than I was yesterday? Track one skill weekly. Measure your own progress, not someone else's achievements. The key is compare yourself to your past self, not to other people's highlight reels. I worked with someone, Lucas, a designer in Barcelona, who felt paralyzed by Instagram. Every designer seemed more talented, more successful, more creative. We implemented the comparison detox. 3 weeks later, I still see other people's work. But now I ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why am I not there yet? My mind feels so much quieter. When comparison becomes internal, your mind stabilizes because external noise loses its control. Learning, number 23. Your mind isn't calm because you don't clear mental clutter. The problem: old conversations, unused knowledge, half-formed plans, they accumulate in your mind like junk in a garage. You can't think clearly because there's too much stuff taking up space. The real cause: your brain has both storage and processing capacity, and when both are overloaded, mental fog sets in. Unprocessed thoughts keep circulating, creating background noise. What to do? You need a weekly mental reset session, a deliberate time to clear accumulated clutter. The Sunday Reset, 20 minutes. Write down, what's been stressing me this week? What can I let go of? What needs to shift to next week? Then consciously decide, what am I deleting from my mental space? This isn't just journaling, it's mental maintenance. You're actively clearing loops that no longer serve you. A friend, Maya, a lawyer in Lyon, used to carry every stressful moment from the week into the next one. Conversations from Monday still bothered her on Friday. We started the Sunday Reset practice. She told me, it's like emptying a backpack I didn't know I was carrying. Every week, I put down what doesn't need to come with me. My mind feels lighter every time. When you clear mental clutter regularly, clarity increases naturally. Learning, number 24. Your mind isn't calm because you live in the control illusion. The problem: you try to control everything: other people's behavior, future outcomes, external circumstances. When things don't go as planned, anxiety spikes. The real cause: your brain craves safety, so it attempts to make everything predictable. But reality is inherently unpredictable, and this mismatch between your need for control and life's chaos creates constant anxiety. What to do? You need the control circle method, clearly separating what you can control from what you can't. Draw 3 circles. Inner circle, full control. My actions, my effort, my habits, my responses. Middle circle, partial influence, outcomes, feedback, other people's reactions. Outer circle, zero control, timing, luck, other people's choices, external events. The rule: if it's in the outer circle, let it go. If it's in the inner circle, take action. If it's in the middle, influence what you can, release the rest. Every worry you have fits into one of these circles. When you categorize correctly, unnecessary tension disappears. I know someone, Thomas, a manager in Geneva, who tried to control every variable in his projects. Team performance, client responses, market conditions. He stressed over all of it. We mapped everything to the control circles. He said, I realized 70% of my stress was about things I literally cannot control. Now I focus my energy where it actually matters. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, your mind releases unnecessary tension. Learning, number 25. Your mind is disturbed because you carry emotional backlog. The problem: old disappointments, past rejections, previous failures, they're still active in your mind. You haven't processed them, you've just buried them. The real cause: unprocessed emotions don't disappear. They accumulate as triggers. Something small happens today, but it activates an old emotional wound, and suddenly you're overreacting to something minor. What to do. You need an emotion completion system, a way to consciously process and close old emotional loops. The method. When an old memory surfaces, don't avoid it. Acknowledge it. This still affects me. Write it out completely. What happened? What did I feel then? How do I see it now? Give yourself closure. I release this. It doesn't define my present. This isn't therapy. It's emotional filing. You're taking unresolved feelings and completing them so they stop haunting your present. A client, Sophia, a teacher in Prague, held on to a job rejection from 3 years ago. It still triggered self-doubt whenever she faced new opportunities. We processed it through emotion completion. She told me, "I didn't realize how much space that one moment was taking up. Once I actually processed it, I felt like I could breathe again." When emotional backlog clears, your mind becomes lighter. Learning number 26. Your mind is restless because you overplan. Instead of execute the problem, you make detailed plans, goals, strategies, roadmaps, but execution stays minimal. You get stuck in endless planning loops. The real cause. Planning triggers dopamine. It feels productive without requiring real effort. Your brain prefers planning over action because it's safer, easier, and gives the illusion of progress. What to do? You need the 80% action rule. Flip the ratio from planning heavy to action heavy. The rule, 20% planning, 80% execution. And critically, whenever you make a plan, immediately execute the first step. This trains your brain to see planning as a starting point, not a destination. I worked with someone, Daniel, an entrepreneur in Brussels, who had notebooks full of business plans but 0 launched projects. We implemented the 80% action rule. He said, "I used to spend weeks planning the perfect launch. Now I plan for 2 hours, then I start. I've launched more in 3 months than in the previous 2 years." When action becomes your default, mental restlessness decreases because your brain knows thinking alone isn't the goal. Learning number 27. Your mind is disturbed because of input-output mismatch. The problem, you consume negative content, toxic conversations, low-value information, and wonder why your mental state feels heavy. The real cause. Your brain operates on a simple principle. What goes in shapes, what comes out. If your inputs are chaotic, your outputs, thoughts, emotions, decisions, will be chaotic too. What to do? You need an input quality filter, consciously curating what enters your mind. Simple rules. Avoid content that confuses you without clarity. Consume only content that inspires action. After every input, write one actionable note. Additionally, audit your information sources weekly. Is this making me better or just busier? Unfollow anything that consistently drains you. This isn't about toxic positivity. It's about protecting your mental environment. A friend, Elena, a marketer in Athens, consumed endless business content, but felt paralyzed. We filtered her inputs, only content with clear action steps, nothing purely theoretical. She told me, "I thought more information would help. Actually, better information helped. My mind feels focused instead of overwhelmed." When your inputs are clean, your mind naturally stabilizes. Learning number 28. Your mind isn't calm because you don't track progress. Visibly, the problem, you feel like you're not improving, so frustration builds. I'm doing all this work, but nothing's changing. The real cause. Progress is invisible without tracking. Your brain doesn't recognize growth unless you show it evidence. Without visible proof, it defaults to nothing's working. What to do? You need a progress tracking system, making improvement visible and tangible. The Daily 3. Every evening, write, what did I improve today? Even tiny things count. What did I avoid today? Distractions, bad habits. What did I learn today? One lesson, one insight. This small practice gives your brain evidence of growth. When your brain sees progress, anxiety decreases because it knows you're moving forward. I worked with someone, Adrian, a writer in Lisbon, who felt stuck for months. Objectively, he was improving, but he couldn't see it. We started daily progress tracking. After 3 weeks, reading back through my notes, I can see how much I've actually grown. It's not invisible anymore. That alone changed my mindset. When growth becomes visible, your mind relaxes because it trusts the process. 2209. Calm your mind. Part 5. Learning number 29. Your mind overthinks because you make instant meaning out of everything. The problem: every event needs immediate interpretation. Why did this happen? What does this mean? You can't just observe. You have to analyze, conclude, and assign meaning instantly. The real cause: your brain tries to reduce uncertainty by creating instant stories. Something happens, and within seconds, your mind has built a narrative around it, often negative, often inaccurate. This automatic meaning-making is what fuels overthinking. What to do? You need the meaning delay rule, creating space between event and interpretation. The rule: when something happens, don't assign meaning immediately. Wait at least 24 hours. During that time, just observe what happened. Don't interpret it yet. Notice your urge to create a story, then let it pass. After 24 hours, you can reflect with more clarity. But often, you'll realize the event didn't need the dramatic narrative your brain initially created. I know someone, Mark, a project manager in Edinburgh, who turned every work email into a crisis. Delayed response? They're mad at me? Short reply: I messed up. We practiced meaning delay. He said, I realized 90% of the stories I created were completely wrong. Now I wait, observe, and usually the reality is way simpler than what I imagined. When you stop instant meaning-making, overthinking decreases dramatically. Learning number 30. Your mind is disturbed because you depend on outer changes for inner stability. The problem: when something good happens externally, you feel great. When something bad happens, you crash. Your emotional state swings based on circumstances. The real cause: your stability is tied to external events. This makes you vulnerable because you can't control what happens outside, but it controls how you feel inside. What to do? You need an internal anchor system, measuring yourself by internal standards, not external outcomes. The daily internal scorecard. Every evening ask, how focused was I today? How calm was I today? How disciplined was I today? These are process metrics, not outcome metrics. They measure who you were, not what happened to you. When your identity is based on internal standards, external chaos stops destabilizing your mind. A client, James, a sales director in Dublin, used to ride emotional roller coasters. Good sales day? Euphoric. Bad day? Devastated. We built his internal anchor system. He told me, I still care about results, but my baseline doesn't shift anymore. I'm stable, regardless of what happens externally. When stability comes from within, your mind stops being controlled by circumstances. Learning number 31. Your mind isn't calm because you're stuck in mental multitasking. The problem, you think about multiple things simultaneously. While working on one task, your mind is already jumping to the next three. You're physically present, but mentally scattered. The real cause. Your brain believes everything needs attention right now, so it operates in constant switching mode. This creates mental fatigue and anxiety because your attention is fragmented across too many threads. What to do? You need single-thread thinking, training your brain to focus on one thought, one task at a time. The method. When your mind wanders, immediately say to yourself, right now, only this. Then bring your attention back to the present task. This simple phrase becomes an anchor. Every time you use it, you're strengthening your brain's ability to stay single-focused instead of scattered. I worked with someone, Anna, a consultant in Helsinki, who described her mind as 10 browser tabs open at once. We practiced single-thread thinking for 3 weeks. She said, "It felt impossible at first, but now my mind actually stays where I point it. I'm not fighting constant mental noise anymore." When you move from multitasking to single-threading, your mind naturally calms because it's no longer overloaded. Learning number 32. Your mind is disturbed because you're trapped in feedback dependency. The problem, you judge your actions based on other people's responses. Every like, reply, or reaction carries emotional weight. Lack of feedback makes you question yourself. The real cause. Your brain treats external feedback as survival signals. In ancestral environments, social approval meant safety. Today, that same wiring makes you emotionally dependent on every response. What to do? You need a self-generated feedback system, measuring your actions by your own criteria, not others' reactions. After every action, ask, did I give my best effort? Did I act with consistency? Did I avoid self-sabotage? If yes to all three, the task is complete, regardless of external response. External feedback becomes data, not validation. You listen to it, but it doesn't define your worth. A friend, Nathan, a content creator in Amsterdam, was addicted to social media metrics. Every post's performance affected his mood for days. We built his self-feedback system. He told me, I still check analytics, but whether a post gets 100 or 10,000 views doesn't change whether I'm proud of the work. That shift changed everything. When feedback becomes internal, your mind becomes stable and independent. Learning number 33. Your mind overthinks because you treat micro-uncertainty as threat. The problem, even small, unclear situations trigger anxiety. Someone doesn't text back immediately. Your mind spirals. A project detail is ambiguous. You can't focus on anything else. The real cause. Your brain has become hypersensitive to uncertainty because it hasn't been trained to cope with it. Every unknown feels like danger, so your mind tries to resolve it immediately, leading to overthinking. What to do? You need uncertainty exposure training, deliberately practicing comfort with the unknown. Daily practice. Intentionally accept one small uncertain situation. Don't check every message immediately. Tolerate not knowing. Don't demand instant answers to every question. Don't overanalyze every decision. Over time, your brain learns uncertainty isn't dangerous. When threat perception decreases, your mind naturally relaxes. I worked with someone, Claire, a designer in Marseille, who needed certainty in everything. Unclear emails, unconfirmed plans, ambiguous feedback, all triggered overthinking. We practiced uncertainty exposure. After a month, I'm not completely comfortable with uncertainty yet, but I'm not paralyzed by it anymore. That's huge for me. When you stop treating every unknown as a threat, mental peace increases. Learning number 34. Your mind is restless because of energy leakage habits. The problem: small habits drain your mental energy without you realizing it. Unnecessary scrolling, impulsive checking, random task switching. By midday, you're mentally exhausted but haven't accomplished much. The real cause: your brain is caught in continuous dopamine leaks, tiny hits that feel productive but actually fragment your focus and drain your energy reserves. What to do? You need an energy leak audit, identifying and eliminating hidden drains. End of day practice. Write down, where did I lose energy unnecessarily today? Which behavior repeated itself? How can I eliminate this tomorrow? Then immediately reduce the biggest one to 2 leaks. Common energy leaks: checking phone first thing in the morning, switching tasks before completing the current one, consuming content without purpose, starting conversations that don't need to happen. When you conserve energy by plugging leaks, your mind automatically becomes more stable because it's not constantly depleted. A client, Victor, a researcher in Rotterdam, felt exhausted daily but couldn't figure out why. We audited his energy leaks, checking news 15 times daily, switching between projects every 20 minutes, browsing without intention. We eliminated 2 habits: no news before 2 p.m., single task blocks only. He said, I didn't realize how much those tiny habits were draining me. Now, I've finished days with energy left, not completely fried. When energy is conserved, mental restlessness decreases naturally. 2213. Calm your mind. Part 6. Learning number 35. Your mind isn't calm because you live in future identity conflict. The problem: you want to become disciplined, focused, and calm in the future, but your present behavior contradicts that vision. You say you want peace, but you act in ways that create chaos. The real cause: your brain detects identity mismatch, the gap between who you say you want to be and who you're actually being. This gap registers as internal stress. What to do? You need present identity alignment, acting today as the person you want to become tomorrow. The simple rule: be that person now, not later. If you want to be calm, practice calm responses today. If you want to be focused, eliminate distractions today. If you want to be disciplined, keep commitments today. Stop waiting for the right time to become that person. Your future self is built by your present actions. I know someone, Rebecca, a lawyer in Brussels, who talked about wanting to be more balanced, but worked 70-hour weeks and skipped every rest day. We aligned her identity with her actions. She told me, I realized I was waiting to become balanced someday. Now I act balanced today, and that person is actually showing up. When your actions match your desired identity, internal conflict dissolves, and your mind settles. Learning number 36. Your mind is overactive because you've developed silence intolerance. The problem: when nothing is happening, no music, no notifications, no input, you feel uncomfortable. Silence feels wrong, so you immediately fill it. The real cause: your brain has become addicted to constant stimulation. Silence now registers as threat or boredom instead of rest. What to do? You need silence conditioning, retraining your brain to tolerate and eventually enjoy quiet. The practice: daily, spend 10 to 15 minutes with zero input, no phone, no music, no talking, just sit and observe. At first, your thoughts will race. That's normal. It's your brain detoxing from constant stimulation. But over time, something shifts. Silence stops feeling uncomfortable. Your mind learns that quiet is safe, not threatening. A friend, Patrick, an engineer in Lyon, couldn't sit still without his phone or headphones. Even walks required podcasts. We introduced silence conditioning. First week, this is torture. Second week, it's getting easier. Fourth week, I actually look forward to this. My mind feels clear. When your brain recalibrates to silence, natural calm becomes your baseline. Learning number 37. Your mind is unstable because you live in attention fragmentation. The problem, your attention shifts every few seconds. You start a task, then check your phone. You read a sentence, then think about something else. Your focus is shattered across 100 micro-distractions. The real cause, external triggers have fragmented your attention span. Your brain has been trained to switch constantly, and now sustained focus feels impossible. What to do? You need attention endurance training, rebuilding your brain's ability to sustain focus. The method: choose one task. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Do only that task. No exceptions. When the timer ends, note how you felt. Gradually extend. 25 minutes to 40 minutes to 60 minutes. This isn't just productivity, it's neural reconditioning. Every time you resist distraction and return to focus, you're rebuilding your attention muscle. Within weeks, sustained focus stops feeling impossible and starts feeling natural. I worked with someone, Eric, a writer in Stockholm, who couldn't focus for more than 5 minutes without distraction. We started with 10-minute focus blocks. 3 months later, I can now write for 90 minutes straight without even thinking about my phone. I didn't think that was possible for me. Strong attention equals calm mind because a focused brain doesn't have space for chaos. The core truth: what actually creates a calm mind? Now, let's connect everything you've learned. A calm mind isn't created by a single technique. It's not meditation alone, or breathing exercises alone, or journaling alone. A calm mind is the result of an integrated system. Mental direction, intentional thinking plus focus systems, emotional processing, closing loops plus emotional release, body regulation, breathing plus movement plus sleep, input control, information diet plus quality filters, identity clarity, internal standards plus self-validation. When these 5 pillars align, your mind doesn't need to be calmed. It naturally operates in calm. The practical starting system. If you want real change, don't try to implement everything at once. Start with the core 4. Morning, 5 minutes. Breathing control, 4-4-6 pattern, 5 minutes. This regulates your nervous system before the day begins. During day, throughout. Single task, focus one task, 25-minute blocks, 0 distractions. This trains attention and eliminates mental fragmentation. Evening, 10 minutes. Brain dump. Write everything on your mind. Categorize into action/ignore/later. This closes loops and clears mental clutter. Weekly, 20 minutes. Mental reset. Sunday review. What am I releasing? What am I carrying forward? This prevents accumulation and maintains clarity. If you do these 4 consistently for 7 to 10 days, you will notice your mind's background noise decreases. Overthinking loses its grip. Focus becomes easier. Emotional reactivity reduces. Mental clarity increases. Not because of magic, because you've built a system that supports calm instead of fighting it. the mindset shift that changes everything. Here's what most people get wrong. They think a calm mind is something you achieve once and keep forever. That's not how it works. A calm mind is something you maintain daily, like physical fitness. You don't work out once and stay fit forever. You build habits that keep you fit. The same applies to mental calm. Calm isn't a destination. It's a trained response system. When you understand this, you stop waiting for the day when your mind is finally calm and start building the practices that create calm daily. The deeper layer, understanding mental control. Calming your mind isn't about eliminating thoughts. It's about changing your relationship with thoughts. Before a thought appears, you believe it, you react, you spiral. After a thought appears, you observe it, you choose your response, you continue. This shift from reactive to responsive is where real freedom lives. You don't need a quiet mind. You need a controlled mind, one that doesn't get hijacked by every passing thought or emotion. And that control comes from practice, not perfection. What to do when you slip, because you will slip. You'll have days where everything falls apart, where your mind races despite all your practices, where calm feels impossible. On those days, don't judge yourself. I'm failing at this. Acknowledge what's happening. My mind is loud today. Return to basics. Just breathe. Just one focus block. Just write it out. The goal isn't perfection. It's resilience, the ability to return to your system after disruption. One of my mentors told me, a calm mind isn't one that never gets disturbed. It's one that knows how to return to calm. The question that matters most. You now have a complete system. You have the tools, the practices, the understanding. The question isn't, will my mind become calm? The question is, which action will I start today? Because knowledge without action is just information, and information without implementation changes nothing. Your next step, right now. Don't wait. Don't plan to start next week. Don't bookmark this for later. Right now, choose one practice from this entire system, just one. Maybe it's 5 minutes of breathing tonight, one 25-minute focus block tomorrow. A brain dump before bed. Observing one thought instead of reacting to it. Pick one. Do it today. Do it again tomorrow. That's how change begins. Not with massive transformation, but with one small action. Repeated. The truth about transformation. Here's what will happen if you actually implement this. Week 1, you'll feel awkward. The practices will feel forced. Your mind will resist. Week 2, small shifts, moments of clarity, brief periods where your mind feels quieter. Week 3 to 4, the practices start feeling natural. You notice yourself returning to calm faster after disruption. Month 2 to 3, your baseline changes. What used to send you spiraling now just passes through. Your mind operates differently. Month 6. Plus, you don't recognize your old mental patterns anymore. Calm isn't something you chase. It's your new normal. But only if you start. Only if you stay consistent. The final realization, a calm mind isn't about having no problems. It's about not being controlled by them. It's not about never feeling anxious. It's about anxiety not dictating your actions. It's not about perfect peace. It's about returning to center when life pulls you away. You're not trying to become someone who never experiences mental noise. You're becoming someone who knows how to navigate it. A personal note. I've worked with hundreds of people on this exact journey, and the ones who transform aren't the most talented, the most disciplined, or the most naturally calm. They're the ones who start small and stay consistent. They're the ones who choose progress over perfection. They're the ones who understand a calm mind is built, not born. You can be one of those people. You have everything you need. The system is here. The knowledge is yours. The only variable left is your commitment to action, your mind, your choice. Every day, you're training your mind, either intentionally or by default. If you don't direct it, your environment will. If you don't calm it, chaos will. If you don't build the system, your mind will stay scattered. But you don't have to accept that. You can choose differently. Starting today, this is your moment. Not someday. Not when things slow down. Not when you have more time. Now. Take one practice, implement it, build from there. Your calm mind is waiting, not in the future, but in the daily actions you take right now. What will you choose?